Welcome to WagerTalk TV. We're back with the Sports Betting 101 videos, but I got a new guy sitting next to me, Marco D'Angelo, at Marco in Vegas. And we're going to talk about, again, guys, this is a 101 video. So if you already know how to bet on baseball, this is not the video for you. Maybe we'll do a more in-depth, a 220 tutorial or something fun for you guys. But this is basic 101. How do you bet on baseball, Marco?
Well, the first thing is, the biggest difference is there's no point spread. And that intimidates some people because they don't understand the money lines and they're intimidated by it. What a money line is instead of taking, let's say in football, the Pittsburgh Steelers -7, in baseball, you're taking the Pittsburgh Pirates maybe -150. The Pirates suck, so they won't be -150 too often. But you lay 150 to win 100. And if you were betting the dog, you would lay 100 to get back 140. Now, that's at most books. In Vegas, they do have a 10-cent line. Some books still archaic and want to deal with 20-cent line.
And we've heard of some crazy stuff on the East Coast.
Absolutely. You want to bet a 10-cent line. You want the value there. You don't want that 20-cent gap, and I'll explain why later when we get a little more in-depth. But if you ask any of the bookmakers, and you talk to all of them, ask them which sport they fear the most.
Baseball. That I already know.
It is baseball, and it's the least popular as far as the masses go, but the sharps love it because you're playing the true odds. For the average bettor, they just can't wrap themselves around it because they're not getting that point spread. In their mind, you're saying, you're asking me to bet a team that's supposed to lose, and I'm not getting any point spread. Well, you are getting value. You're getting money back on your $100. You're getting back plus 130, plus 140, but they have a hard time wrapping their heads around that.
Okay, so when you go to bet the money line, before you either click on your computer or your phone or you walk up to the window, you have to know the difference between action and listed. And this is something that used to get me for a while when I was just kind of messing around playing people's baseball stuff. I couldn't figure out why my bet either got canceled or while, a pitcher that wasn't listed now was starting.
Yes, always list the pitchers. And what listing the pitchers means is every day the probable pitchers are there. They're up on the board. You are saying this bet is predicated on those two guys going. Let's say, for an example, you made a play with Kershaw, and he goes and warms up, and his back's tight, and he's a late scratch. And you just played action. Action is the team.
And you just laid 220?
Yeah, or 300,
yeah.
If you're playing Kershaw. So you want to make sure that you're taking the pitchers. That's just an insurance policy for you. Some guys...
And it doesn't cost you anything.
Doesn't cost you any different. All
option.
You're saying is listed, and they put the pitchers right on the ticket, they must start. If one of those guys don't go, that ticket is a void, and you get your money back. You take it back to the window, and you'll get what you invested back. Whether that ticket lost or won, those two guys have to go.
Okay, and then so you were talking about money lines when you first start. So you look at the big board when you walk into the book, it says M/L, and that's what you're laying. But then to the right of that, this says -1.5, +1.5. Can you explain to people what that means?
Right. You're laying 1.5 runs. Your team has to win by 2 runs if you're taking them. If you're taking the +1.5, all those 3-2 pitching duels, you get, you could lose and cash your ticket. Where people use the money line the most the run line is if it is a game where there's 2 good pitchers going and you've got an over-under of 6 or 6.5, a low-scoring game, you're predicting a very low-scoring game. So +1.5 runs can become valuable. That's where they will look to take
as you mentioned, maybe a 3-2 final,
right.
2-1 final.
Exactly. Where I will look to do it a lot of times is if we do have a situation where we have a big favorite, and I think that they will win by more than 2 runs or more, I'll lay 1.5 rather than laying maybe 170 or 180 because it's going to be much less. Because
or sometimes you can even get plus money.
Sometimes you even get plus money on it, and people do that in hockey all the time. Take the puck line. So there's situations to do that, but don't bet the money line or the run line unless you handicap the game. You like your pitcher to pitch well, and you're expecting the other team's pitcher to have a bad game. You got to have both sides there before you're going to lay 1.5 runs.
Because after the game lands 7-6, you're going to be really angry.
And realize too that if you're playing a home team, there's a good chance you're only going to get 8 at-bats versus 9 at-bats for the other team. Because if the home team's winning 3-2, after going to the top of the ninth and they hold, they don't get a chance to bat in the bottom of the ninth. They already won the game.
You're absolutely right. Okay, last but not least, let's talk about totals when it comes to betting on baseball. For example, total 7.5 over -120.
Right. When you see a number, if you see 7.5 and you see nothing behind it, then it's going to be a -110 wager either way. If you see an over or an under after it, it means that it's favored that way. And then you're going to see another number, -120, maybe -125. A lot of times, especially when you get, a key number. If a number's sitting at 8, they don't want to move it to 7.5, if they're getting under money. So they'll make you pay a tariff and they'll raise it to -120 instead of the 110. So that's what that means after that.
All right. Anything else you want to give to our 101 listeners about baseball?
Okay, if you bet an over-under, the game, first of all, let's start about a straight bet. A straight bet, if a game gets called by rain, a lot of times everybody, okay, do I have a winning ticket? Do I not have a winning ticket? If you bet a straight bet for the game and the game went 5 innings and they called it, yes, it is a game in the books. You can cash your ticket. However, if you bet a total and it goes 5 innings, let's say you bet over 8 and it's 6-4 after 5 and they called it. Hey, no, you don't. It has to go the distance. It has to go at least 8.5 innings for it to be an official wager on an over-under. And the last tip I'm going to give people that bet baseball, and this is where people get carried out on a stretcher that don't know what they're doing. They want to bet the favorites. They think in their head, I don't have a point spread. All I got to do is win the game. So their human nature is...
And they're hearing the team names. They're hearing the Yankees.
The team names,
they're hearing the Red Sox.
Those big pitchers. Listen to this. If you lay -200, that means you have to win 67% of your games to break even. 67%. There was only one team in baseball last year that had a win percentage higher than 67%. That was the Boston Red Sox. You had two.
And hence they won the World Series.
And they won the World Series. You had 2 other teams that
I was
broke
thinking of the Astros in my mind.
Astros were second, Yankees were third, 63 and 61%. After that, everybody else was 59% or less. There were, I believe, 9 or 10 teams last year that were in between 50 and 56%. Why am I bringing up these percentages? Because I want you to bet underdogs. You bet underdogs,
now you got my attention.
You make more money. The fact is, let's say even if you take just a 135 favorite, you have to hit 57.45 winning percentage to do that. There wasn't a lot of teams over that last year. You're not going to sustain. So if all these teams are around 500 and I'm getting plus money, they're a little bit over 500 and I'm finding situations for live dogs, you're going to do very well. If you're betting just small dogs plus 120, you only have to win 45.45% of your plays, and you're going to break even. That's how you beat baseball. That's how I've beaten baseball. The last several years, baseball has been my best sport by far. We're having a hell of a basketball season this year, but baseball over the years.
As long as you don't give me the plays, you're having a hell of a basketball season.
We've deemed you the black cat. Not the wild cat, the black cat. But, we'll get you back on there now. The streak's over. I hit 11 in a row. We lost one, so now we'll start a new one. I'll start giving you the plays again. But we'll talk more about that in another video.
All right, awesome stuff from Marco. WagerTalk Text Club, it's 100% free. Just text WagerTalk to 33222 to get a $10 coupon for signing up, plus free picks and other special offers.